don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today it's time for the mid-month mini mission inspiration over on our Facebook group. Links there on the screen. There will be a clickable link in the description area below if you'd like to join with us for our regular twice monthly art challenges. There you go. So the challenge or the prompt for the mid-month for August, it is August, yes, it is August, is the word portrait. So I leave you my portrait so that you will have my presence when I'm away from you. What a lovely kind of old-fashioned sentiment that is. But with it just being the challenge for the word portrait, you could do any kind of portrait that you wanted. It couldn't be anything from a hand-drawn portrait to a photographic portrait to a painted portrait to a self-portrait to a portrait of a pet. You could do it abstract, you could do it Dali-esque, you could do it Picasso-esque, you could do it whichever way you wanted to, or whatever's within your grasp or capabilities, or you could just do a cartoon one if you wanted to. Why not, if that's what floats your boat, as the word or the saying goes. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a collage portrait. So I'm going to put together, I've got some bits here, a portrait on or in my tag journal of Mr. Bentley. And why not? So there's a photograph of Mr. Bentley. I know, look at those eyes, that I've cut out, I've printed onto some card and printed out. So this is going to be my focal for the collage, and I've kind of picked things from my collage collection, from the Tim Holtz Botanicals and Field Note collections, with a few of the bits and pieces thrown in as well, because Mr. Bentley does like to stop and smell the flowers. We've caught him lots of times sticking his nose into the blooms, and also when he's out for a walk he likes to stick his nose in the flowers. And there's on one of the routes where we take him, there's a lady who's got a hedge to a garden, and it's a complete rosemary hedge, and every time he walks past he pushes and rubs himself up against the hedge, releasing that beautiful kind of aroma, and smells like rosemary for the rest of the afternoon, which obviously isn't a bad thing. So he does like that, and he also likes to watch the butterflies and stuff in the garden too. So I've got one of those kind of like stencil things that's got the letter B on it. I've got this label here that starts with the letter B, and I've got a few other bits and pieces to stick down as well. So tag journal, so this is the tag journal that I've been using all year. So each month for the mid-month mini missions, I've been doing this kind of tag shape. So they are 4 by 8. I've used the cover, the acrylic cover, as my template, and I've cut my tag out of dog biscuit box again. There you go. So it's got Mr. Bentley all over it, but I normally like to cover the backs and work on the front, so that's what I'm going to do as well for this one. So I've got this paper. I'll tell you what those paints are for in a second. Move those bits out of the way. So I've got this paper which is from a designer series paper from Stampin' Up. It's got that on one side, which is rather lovely. I kind of like the flowers being on a black background. Rather nice, kind of poppy-ish. But I like this colour on the background, so I think I'm going to do that for the back. So I'll need to turn it around that way, and then we'll just line it up so I can get the right... I don't know why I'm doing that, because I'm going to cut it through with a trimmer anyway. Anyway, it's 4 inches by 8 inches. There you go. How easy was that? 4 inches by 8 inches. So I've still got that to play with later. And 8 inches that way. Open the arm up. I'm just going to cut it just slightly shy. And I've got that piece to play with again as well later on. So that should be the piece for the back. Oh. Let's see if we can try and do all this in one take as well. What's that? Bit of an old label. I don't know where that's come from. Get off. Okay, so there's my tag. that's going to be the back. So that should fit just nicely on there. Yeah, actually, so when I say I'm cutting it a bit shy, I've actually cut it a bit big. But that's okay, don't mind that. Right, glue. I'm going to use some spirit glue. So I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but also it won't buckle like ordinary wet glue does. So out of all the glues that I've used over the years, I still find myself going back to the spirit glue. And it's not just because of the smell, even though it is lovely. Okay, so we'll turn that over. Drop that down, just over the top. There we go. And then give it a push. And that should be just right for the back. Okay, so while that's doing that, while that's drying, if I'm very, very gentle, I should just be able to trim around the tag, just using my little craft knife. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the corners. Perhaps I should have used a sharper blade. Put a new one in. But hey ho. There we go. Tell you what, let's just use the corner rounder. That should. There you go, you see. Just fiddle around trying to cut corners which are exact. Okay. And you've got these labour saving devices. Put that in there as well. There we go, and then we'll just do the end there. Look at that. Ain't that just the bee's knees? Okay, so I'll just take my template cover off and then just line that up. And I've got a pencil somewhere, or a pen. Ah, there's a white pencil there, that'll do. So we just need to line that up just so I know where the hole's going to go. So I know that little dot there is just the right spot. Okay, so put the tag journal to one side for now. So the portrait, that will eventually get stuck onto the back there so that I know what the prompt was for the month. I'm not going to do that just yet. So I'm just going to flip that over, and then I'm going to add some paint to the background. Let's clear those little bits out of the way. There you go, just brush them on the floor for the cleaner. He says, right, move that mat out of the way too. And now we can bring the paint in. So a little bit of paint mat, don't really need it because it's a white clean one anyway, but it's there. And this is a foam brayer. Again, it's a squishy foam brayer from Stampin' Up, which is perfect. So what I'm going to use is a selection of paints from Dina Wakley, only because these are getting towards the end now, so I'm just doing a drive to kind of finish them, so that I can either decide whether I'm going to replace them or move on to a different brand. You know, that's just what we do. I'm also going to use, sorry, that was the olive, Dina Wakley olive. And I've also got lime. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it, tell me about them being nearly empty. So we've got the olive and lime, so a dark and a light. Get rid of that. I'm going to just put a squeeze of water down. I'm going to take the brayer and I'm just going to mix, manoeuvre. There we go, and then bring the tag in. And we're getting a kind of nice motley effect. Add a bit more water onto that. Now this probably was designed originally for use with inks, but I find because they've got a nice kind of absorbent surface, you kind of get nice different effects. So let's add a little bit more of that lime. Use anything for anything. You know, if you've got tools that were specifically designed for one job, 9 times out of 10 they probably find that they're just as good for other jobs too. Okay, so turn that round and we'll go back that way, and then I'll use a bit more of the olive, squidge of water, and then we can start adding, just building up the layers. And I think actually what might have been a better idea, and it's adding some white. Not a lot of white left. In fact, I think, ladies and gents, that is the end of the white. Yep. I did say they were coming towards the end of their life, didn't I? Maybe a bit lighter. Yeah. Some motley white tones. Yeah. Bit of a different background. Okay, so before it dries, let's bring in a bit of blue. And then add some water. There we go. Use anything really to add paint to your surface. Anything that you think is going to make a bit of a different effect. Whether it's a kitchen roll, a scrunchie, a bit of foam, a bit of fabric. Just play with different textures just to see what kind of different effects you can get. Let's add a little bit more, a bit of blue, a bit darker blue. This is the, sorry, I didn't say what that was. That was the turquoise. Oop, he says dropping it, and this is going to be the peacock. So again, add a bit of water, just because. Pick it up, and then so you do get different effects with different implements. There we go. Okay, I'm going to dry that off. Okay, so that's dried. So I want to try and just create a bit more of a mottled effect. So I'm going to bring in darker olive this time. And I'm going to put a couple of blobs there, a couple of blobs there. Okay, so I apologise if you can hear noises coming from outside. It's a fairly warmish, kind of muggy day today. It's not hot or anything, but it's just one of those really close days where it's warm, where you have to have the windows open, but it's not red hot, if you know what I mean. It's just humid today. And my neighbours are out in the garden, my noisy neighbours, who seem to think that they're the only ones living in the area by the amount of noise that they make. Not very social. But anyway. So just kind of create a scraped motley background. Again, I'm going to bring in some of that, a lighter blue this time. Just add some... Tell these bottles are running out, can't you? So we've used the brayer to get that background, which is okay, but not brilliant. Kind of like this draggy effect you get. Yeah, that's better. A bit more, I think. A bit more there. I do love this kind of grungy effect. Yes, like it a lot. Okay, so I want to add in some contrasting colours now. So let's just dry that off first. Okay, that should be enough for that. So I've got some orange, which goes really well with that blue as a... There we go. It's all gummed up. Just help, it just pops from with that blue in the background. There's no real trick to this at all. It's totally random. And what you get is what you get. And that's why I like it. Yes! Okay, so the orange has dried. Got a nice kind of grungy, motley background. And now the white has run out, so that's gone now, that's empty, so that can go in the bin. I've got the next best thing, which is the buff. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, and then I'm going to grab my fan brush and some water, and we'll just mix that together, and we can create some nice background splatters. Big and small. There we go. And just where we've gone on a little bit of overspray, let's quickly give that a wipe. Like so. And then get that dried off. Oh, and if you're wondering, by the way, this is one of the Ranger Heat It craft tools. This is supposed to be the one of those ultra quiet ones. Yeah, of course it is. Okay, so those white splatters are all, off-whitish splatters are all dry now. There's a little bit of cracking in those ones because there was quite a lot. So I think now we're ready to start adding some of those collage items to it, or bits too. So grab some vintage photo, and I should have somewhere, that'll do, little foam. So I'm just going to go around the edges. And all this does, it just kind of gives it a little bit of a frame. There we go. So we've got that, and also I can start adding some bits of distress just onto the little bits of ephemera, just to kind of tie it all together and consolidate all the items that we're going to use. So we've got some butterflies, some paper bits. I'm not going to go too mad on these. Just helps to disguise those white edges a little bit more. So I'll just whip off and do all this, because, you know, you don't want to be sitting watching me do all that. Distressing the edges, because it's not exactly interesting. But I'll whiz off, do all these bits, and then I'll be back before you know it. Okay, so there you go. So even Mr. Bentley's getting a little bit of distress. Okay, so that's the pile of all the bits that I've done. So ready to start putting the collage together. Almost, but of course I just want to clean this area up as well, because there's a little bit of distress on the worktop where I've been manoeuvring my inker. Just add a little bit onto that bit there, and also I want to use this, but I want to cut it down a little bit. It's a bit too big. So what I'm going to do is just snip that there, and I'm also just going to take off, I think, just those edges there, and just to kind of turn that into like a mini tag shape as well. Maybe just a bit more. Yeah, that's kind of even. And then I'll just go around the edges of that one. Just because, for no other reason than cause for. Okay, so that's all the bits. Let me have a quick tidy up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so there's the tag. There's all my little elements for my little collage. All done, all distressed, all looking lovely. And then we can start to build up where we want things to go. So I think that can go up there. I've got to remember that there will be a hole being punched into this, so they can go there like that, and then we'll have that, yeah, under there. So that one's going to go first. Right then, now the fun begins. So I'll add that one down there. Okay, so next we'll have that one. That's the one drawback with this glue. There's a little strings you get all the time. But luckily, they just wipe off. So put that about there. Just make sure. Just noticed that. JW Gaines and Co. That's like Joanna Gaines, isn't it? Magnolia Farms, or people who do the renovations on the houses in... Is it? It's not Nashville, that's the other one, isn't it? No, they do them in Waco, in Texas, that's it. Joanna Gaines is Waco, isn't she? It's Courtney and Dave that are in Nashville. You can tell I like my home makeover programs. Okay. So we'll place that about there. That's looking good. Okay, so Mr. Bentley's going to go sit around about there like that. So we need to introduce another one around about there. And then this one can sit about there. That's fine. Okay, so let's move that one off, grab the glue, couple of dots, okay, so we set it up there, bring that over there, so that's in the background. And then the next one, okay. Yeah, so I'll put that so it's just maybe just coming over, I think. About there. Yes. Like that. And then that little tag there, I'm going to pop a little hole in it. Oh, say a little hole. So let's make that into a mini tag. While I'm at it, I'm also going to do the one for the back. Oh. There we go. So just push that up a little bit. Maybe just bring that down. There we go. Alright, so I'll need a bit of string for that. So let's just add some of the butterflies on it. I'm not going to add Mr. Bentley on just yet. So I think we'll have that about there. That can go there. That little tag can go underneath about there. And then maybe have that one up there. Yeah, look at that. Fabulous. Love it. Okay, so let's stick that butterfly down first. So you can go right up there. Right towards the edge. And then we said we'd bring Mr. B down here. So he's focal in the middle. Put that one, go there just so it's coming from behind. Just closing that gap a little bit. a balancing act with these little glue strings. And then where did we say it was going to go? About there. Before I stick it down. A bit lower. That's it. Just turn it a tad. Yeah, I think we're about right there. Okay, so I think Mr. B can get stuck down now. Okay. Maybe just at a tad of an angle. I think I might just move that up a little bit. And then that can get stuck down there. See, the thing when you're doing little collage clusters like this one is getting into the habit of auditioning your pieces. So by that I mean laying them down first, just to make sure you've got everything in the right place. See, I need to lift that up there. So what I need to do is I also want to put just a little bit of string on that, so I'm just going to grab some. Oh. So I don't want a huge piece. That'll do. And we'll create a little bit of a tag, kind of embellishment. So we'll go through the back. Sorry, let's start again. So, my string's not even. Right, so I've looped my string. I'm going to go from the back to the front. Don't pull it all the way. And then just loop those strings through. And then just pull up. Then we've got a nice, neat, and then you can just trim off any excess string as long as you want it to be. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, just grab the glue and very gently just put a blob on that string there, a little bit on the back and some on the bottom. That's all I'm going to do. So that's just going to glue and adhere where it touches. So I'll turn that round and then I can just take hold. Actually I could do with my tweezers, couldn't I? There we go. That's it. And then I should have done this the other way around. God, blimey. That's it. And then just tuck that like so. Now I can push that down. Okay, so where that glue is going to hold, I'll just put the tweezers on that just to pull it down and clamp it just so it's going to sit and hold. There we go. So I'll leave that to dry for a few minutes, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hunt for some glossy accents. Okay, so I've just released that, and I did notice that I actually had the bee tucked underneath there, so I've moved it out a little bit. So that's a bit better. It's still got a little bit of wiggle room, even though it's been down a good few minutes. There we go. So There's my little tag. So now, glossy accents. I'm going to put some little glossy accents just on his eyes, just to give him that real, you see, I've got bubbles in that already, and that's not what I want. Alright, so just lift it off. Okay, we'll start again. This time try not to get any bubbles in the glossy accents. And of course, we've got one. It's really, really irritating. So, let's see if we can get rid of it. Don't you just hate bubbles? There we go. Right, so I'll need to leave that for a good half hour for those glossy accents to dry, and then I'll be right back for the last and final bit. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour or so, and I've allowed those glossy accents on his eyes to dry. I'm hoping that they're dry enough now, because they are kind of, well, very domed. I don't know whether you can see. There you go. You can only just see really. But look, just gives him that nice kind of like dewy-eyed feel, doesn't it? Lovely. So, right, I just need to add on then the final bits. I want to add in this little sentiment that goes in, because obviously it will always be in there. So, a little bit of glue. I'm not going to put a huge amount on, because it doesn't need a huge amount. There we go. And then I'm going to do it so it's running that way. Just there. Perfect. Just make sure I get it kind of level. And then all I have to do then is just make sure I stick. Let's put the date on there first. So today, it's going to be 21st August 2021. There we go. And that way I've always got a reminder of what the prompt for the month, and I can never remember which way around I put them. So that way, right, so it goes, it doesn't matter, I've done it differently on each one. So if I turn that around and do it, I want to do it that way, so that when you lift it and turn it in the book, it's going to be that way. Okay, so that's now stuck to the back, and that's now stuck to the front, and that's it. So there is my art tag for the month of August 2021, and the prompt being portrait for that month. So I'll give it a little bit longer to dry, and then I can add it to my tag journal, and then we're done for another month. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create that portrait tag for August. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. And don't forget, if you want to join us over on our Mission Inspiration Facebook group for our regular monthly and bi-monthly, no, it's twice monthly challenges, then there's that link on the screen again, but there is a clickable link in the description area below to our private Facebook group where you can request to join. So there you go. That's it from me. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.